tacos. Pizza lovers get it. All right, Skip has been a very busy man. After yesterday's show, he recorded a podcast that is now out, even as a Cowboys fan. He talked about whether we're seeing the dawn of an Eagles dynasty. They're headed to their 4th Super Bowl in franchise history. Philly, the top seed in the NFC, and Jalen Hurts, of course, only 24 years old. Shannon, I'm going to let you go first on this. Tell Skip why actually he has nothing.
Dynasty, a dawn of a dynasty? Philly?
I got asked that question on my podcast by an Eagles fan, but they think this is it. We got them all over the place here today.
So if Philly is a dawn of a dynasty, what does that make Kansas City right now? I mean, you go back to 5 years when they last won the Super Bowl, there's only a handful of players. Cox, Fletcher Cox, you're probably looking at Kelsey, Lane Johnson. Those might be the only guys that are still on that roster from that team that won 5 years ago.
Okay,
Skip.
but you keep telling me that Philly is much deeper than Kansas City is,
but
right?
You do understand, Skip. First of all, you got to win something first for us to have this conversation.
No, I
mean,
got
you
it.
look at the Cowboys from 92 to 95, 4 seasons, 7 win percentage, 3 Super Bowls. The Steelers, 6 seasons, 782, 4 Super Bowls. The Patriots, 19 seasons, 6 Super Bowls. But that's all these teams that I'm mentioning is 700 win percentage. The Eagles over the last 5 years got a 598 win percentage. That ain't no dynasty. That's a rerun of dynasty with, Carrington. You remember that? You remember that TV show, right, with John Forsythe?
I never liked it, but go ahead.
I like dynasty.
Yeah.
That's the only dynasty we talk about. Kansas City has a better chance, should be called the dawning of a dynasty. 3 Super Bowl appearances. Mahomes won 2 MVPs. They won a Super Bowl, 5 AFC championship games, won 3 of those, Skip. Man, we been getting ahead of ourselves, man, with these teams. I think because we want to see that. I don't believe you're going to see what you saw from the Steelers in the 70s. I don't believe you're going to see what you saw from the Cowboys where you run off in a 4 or 5 year span unless you got a historically great quarterback, especially in today's time, Skip. And if you look at the AFC, you look at the quarterbacks, you love Joe Burrow. He just happens to be in the same conference with a Mahomes, with a Josh Allen, with a Trevor Lawrence, with a Lamar Jackson.
He does.
So, no, Skip, they're not even close. Win the Super Bowl this year. Play well next year, get back in that position. Maybe we'll start having this conversation 3 years, 2 years, 3 years from now. But I ain't even really want to have this conversation about the Eagles, the dawning of a dynasty.
Okay.
I'm just happy the sun came up this morning.
Okay. Thank you for everything you said. The question I got on the podcast was a sarcastic, knife in the back
they're needling
question.
you,
Yeah, they're needling.
Okay.
They're not needling, they're sticking the knife in. That the Eagles are here and the Cowboys are so far away from here. So the point is, they know how much, the Eagles fans know how much I've always loved Jalen Hurts. And the day Eagles drafted him, I immediately tweeted, your life just changed. And the point is, I looked up Jalen's age because I'd forgotten. He's a grand total of 24 years old. 24.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is 24.
Right.
Well, I think he's really good. He is the leader. He's the backbone. He's the face of. He is the driving force of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
And he's just getting started. Obviously, the first thing he has to do is Sunday.
Right.
And if he pulls off Sunday the way I think he's going to pull off Sunday, then you start looking and you say, well, wait a second. If this team is as loaded as you say it is from the top down, right? That it's way more loaded than the Chiefs are, that would indicate they're going to be around for a while.
But let me ask you a question. How much did Jalen Hurts want? Now, he's going to be in line to get $250 million. Okay, Devontae Smith. There's this thing you always tell me about when I say just pay these guys. You say the salary cap.
Yeah.
The Eagles going to have one, too.
Yeah, but they are pledging allegiance to Jalen. They will take care of him, and I believe he will take care of them. He loves the city of Philadelphia. He's made for the city of Philadelphia.
He is.
Because he's a worker. He did it with blood, sweat, and tears. He got yanked from a game by Coach Saban at Alabama, national championship game, and I believe from that moment on he said, watch this. And he's still saying, watch this. Watch what I can do against the GOAT, the new GOAT, as you call it, Patrick Mahomes. And the point is, I start looking down the road. And by the way, quick point on Patrick Mahomes. It's just stunning to me. He's been a starter for 5 years, and for 5 straight years, he's played a home AFC Championship game. Okay, that's dynastic.
Yes.
It's getting there.
Right.
You got to start cashing more than you've cashed.
And that's, Skip,
right?
you look at these teams that you consider dynasties like the Patriots. They won 9 appearances, they won 6 Super Bowls. The 49ers, they won 5 Super Bowls in a 14-year span. The Steelers, 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year span. Washington, in a 10-year span, they went to 4, won 3.
Yep.
Cowboys, 3 wins. Raiders, 3 wins in a 6-year span. And now the Chiefs. The Chiefs would be considered a dynasty if they were to win a Super Bowl. That would be their 2nd Super Bowl in 3 years.
Okay.
That would be the dawning of a dynasty.
Okay. How did they keep getting to Super Bowls? Would you believe that Patrick Mahomes has never, ever played a single road playoff game? He's never played, no, he's played neutral sites because he's played in the 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
But he's never played a road playoff game? That's impossibly like advantageous,
That's
right?
the team that he play against. Y'all should beat him enough to make him go on the road.
Okay, but why is he always home field advantage? Why? Because he owns the division you used to live in, right?
He does.
He is Patrick Mahomes against the AFC West is 27-3, and the 3 losses were weirdly at home.
Yep.
At Arrowhead, he's lost 3 games at Arrowhead. Well, he just owns the division, and because of that, it's a springboard into home field advantage, which gives them an easy route to get to home AFC Championship.
But you do realize, Skip, they haven't lost but a handful of games. It's not like they're losing 7 games or 6 games in a season.
No.
They're only losing 3 games. So even if they were to, even if they didn't, if they lost all 3 of those games in the division, they're still going to have home field.
Okay, I got it. So this prompted me yesterday. I had to start looking at this roster saying, am I missing the boat here? Dawn of dynasty? Are we on the edge of? Because Jalen's going to be Jalen, and he'll get nothing. He'll never quit working. He's just going to get a little better, a little better, a little better. So I start looking at who are the older players. Well, Fletcher Cox, I think he's like 40 years old. He's 32.
Yeah.
You know, and he's talking about, am I going to play another year? Well, you're only 32. Could he? Brandon Graham is 34. Well, he seems to be going strong at 34 because they don't ask him to play 100%
Yeah. He's
snaps,
playing 20
right?
snaps a game.
Okay. And then Darius Slay, big play Slay. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
He's 32, but he doesn't look like he's slowing up to me, right?
No.
So could he play 3 or 4 more high-level years? Well, sure he could. And then C.J. Gardner-Johnson, every time I look up, he's making a play. He's 25 years old.
Wow.
And then that Avonte Maddox at Dallas, he was just terrorizing the Cowboys, and then he got nicked.
Yes.
And he's back now, but he's 26. The point is, they still have a blend of young and old talent. And then we flip it around to the offense. The 2 targets on offense, AJ's 25 and Devontae's 24. They're going to be around for a while. I'm going to have to, as a Cowboy fan, I'm going to have to live and deal with them for a good long
Your
while.
offensive line, Kelsey, how many more years does he want to play?
He's the old man. He's the
Lane.
Jason Kelsey is 35 years old.
Right.
I don't know how much longer he wants to play, but at that position, could he play until he's 40? He probably could.
Right.
Right? Because it's not like a high collision position.
Well, I think the thing is, they do more hitting at the center position because there's someone always lined up on him.
Yeah.
So the question is, could he? Does he want to? You know, I think his wife is expecting another child. I think they already have 2. She's expecting another child. Lane Johnson is probably the what?
32.
32.
Okay, but he stays beat up.
Yeah, he's
and now he's playing through a groin tear. But you want to talk about a warrior?
Yeah,
he's a warrior.
He's playing through a groin tear. Yeah, he tough. He grown man tough.
And that Mailata is a giant human being.
Yes.
At 6'8" or whatever. He's 25 years old. I'm just saying, Howie Roseman is really good at what he does.
He put together a great roster. The question is, can he keep it together, Skip? Can he keep it together? Because, you know, guys are going to want to get paid. And he's not going to make the mistake that they made in Tampa. Well, I'm just going to bring the guys back to try to repeat. You got to let some of these guys go.
You first guessed it. You first called it, and you were right. But what are you going to do in Tampa? You just broke through in the pandemic, and you beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and you think, let's just run it back, baby. And they all ran right back, and they all got semi-paid. Not great. There's some hometown discounts.
Yeah.
And they just, right before your eyes, they got old.
They got old.
They got hurt. You know, they got, like, permanently injured everywhere. They're just beat all to hell across both lines. And then they finally had to say, well, we can't keep Sue, we can't keep JPP. And all of a sudden, I look at them this year, they're horrible. They went from pinnacle down to the valley because as you've seen it happen, you've been parts of it, overnight, you just lose the whole thing. Well, I think this thing's still on the upswing, which means my Dallas Cowboys are going to have their hands full.
Oh, yeah, you got your hands full, of course.
Because Jerry is the draft master. That's what he likes to proclaim himself, because they're going to do it through the draft. These guys, when the time is, when it's time to go get AJ, they just say, okay, we'll go get AJ.
Right. And they made the trade. I think they traded for, if I'm not mistaken, Darius Slay. They bring in a Maddox. But Skip, you see, they'll add Hassan Reddick.
And he's a key piece. I went right over him. He's 28. So yeah, and he's right there with Chris Jones as a force to be reckoned with, right? So the point is, all of a sudden, a division that we've sort of not dominate, but we've been the kingpin of the East for a while because we have the most talent.
Y'all not going to be favored to win the division next year.
How many times over the last 5 years have you heard going into the season, my Dallas Cowboys are the most talented? A lot of people think they're the most talented team in football. And we have what to show for it? Zilch. Right?
Yeah, the Eagles will get some of that contention now. They're going to be favored to win. They're going to be favored to win your division.
I mean,
for the foreseeable future.
That is correct. I'm going to say it again. I'm still shocked by it, but they are a 1.5-point favorite to beat Kansas City and win this Super Bowl. And it's at a neutral site. That's all you need to know. So could they be on the dawn, at the dawn of a dynasty? They could be, but they got to do this one first, and then it launches, and then you see what happens.
Yes, I agree.
I think after that pedestrian NFC championship game, Jalen is going to be inspired, on fire to make his mark.
You know, homeboy he do one of the most 400-yard Super Bowl games.
Well, he's had some real clunkers so far. Two clunkers by
ain't no clunkers.
They're clunkers.
How you have a clunker, you a Super Bowl MVP?
2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in 2 Super Bowls.
He ain't throw 4 interceptions in one game, Skip. You keep saying 2.
All right, we got to leave this one here. We got to leave this one here because we got to get back to the Lakers and the NBA. How much better did the Lakers get after that trade deadline passed yesterday? Skip and Shannon breaking it all down.